It was the explosive interview that Prince Andrew sincerely believed had saved his image. And then it was transmitted on television and was deemed that the roof had fallen in on him. From a visit to Pizza Express in Woking to his apparent inability to sweat, the BBC Newsnight interview ended the Duke's role in public life.
And now the inside story is being told in the Netflix film Scoop. And the person playing Prince Andrew is the actor Rufus Sewell. Before we speak to him about how you play a problem like Prince Andrew, let's have a look at him in the film. Well, Rufus joins us now from central London. Very good morning to you. Morning. It's interesting, Rufus, because Richard Madeley says that the resemblance is uncanny. Of course, the resemblance with you now is nothing like Prince Andrew. So why do you think you were the person picked to play the part?
Well, to tell you the truth, when I read the script, I immediately had an instinct that I could play it for various reasons. And yeah, no, I mean, in one way, actually, I was flattered to be offered the part because it was like flattering as an actor that they considered I could do it. And then I ummed and ahed about it because it can be kind of scary to play someone who everyone knows and, you know, the royal thing. Before I said yes. But I did, and then afterwards I think, God, what have I just done? You know, it's gonna take a lot of work because I'm not like a natural mimic, and I don't really look like him, etc. So even when I was working on it on my own, I would kind of put my hair down and do things to myself so I could believe myself a little more. And then finally, when I went in and they did the makeup, it really started to come together. But quite right from the start, I felt that I could kind of get behind it in some way.
Yes, it's not just the makeup and the prosthetics, as impressive as they are, and the length of time it took every morning to get you into them. It's your performance. I mean, we just saw those. Can we just see those pictures again of the two of the real Andrew and you side by side? I mean, you've got the downward. Can we see the pictures, please? We've got the downward tilt of the chin, the way he buries his chin into his collar, that kind of, he looks out from under his eyes. You've got that off pat, Rufus.
Oh, thank you. Well, one thing I did do is I really obsessively watched that interview. I mean, I watched it at the time, like everyone else, and was kind of transfixed for, you know, various reasons. And like most people, I had my own judgments, you know, but then doing it is a different thing, and trying to put yourself in the position of someone like that and work out what their reasoning and justification in their own head might be, because that's what people do. And I spent hours and hours every day trying to work out what he was thinking. You can only ever guess, but when there was a hesitation or a stutter or a particular movement of the head or whatever, what was behind it? And you can only come up with your own version of that. But by the time on the first day, me and Gillian did the interview, because that's what we started with, we just did it for 2 days, I had my own version of events and could kind of inhabit it. As could she. Because
Gillian Anderson, of course, plays Emily Maitlis, who did the original interview. Just talk us through the physical transformation that you had to go through and how long that took every day.
Well, I mean, as I said, it was something that even once I said yes and then woke up the next morning and thought, what have I just said yes to? I felt more comfortable working on it than thinking about it. Because when I thought about it, it was like, you know, if you get it wrong, you know, what people are going to say, are you going to be accused of trying to make someone look good, trying to make them look bad? You know, it's a difficult middle line to walk representing a real human being. So I would even do things to change my appearance when I was working on my own. And then when I came in, we did the makeup tests. They basically transpose one face onto another and try to work out what the differences are and try to find the middle. And they would add bits under my eyes, they'd add bits here, a little bit here. There's certain parts of my face that matched, certain parts that didn't. And by process of elimination, find out the perfect median of the two of us. And at one point, there were eyelids on me that made me look so much like him, it was uncanny, but I couldn't really use my eyes. So we had to make the decision to take one stage away so that I could express more, because so much of it is in the eyes. If you watch the interview, so many of the little tells, the thoughts, the hesitations, you know.
We saw the Emily Maitlis character there promising Prince Andrew that there would be no gotchas in the interview, and I promise you there'll be no gotchas in this interview. But this is a tricky question that I would really like your thoughts on. I mean, Andrew has really suffered since this, and a lot of people say, well, that's his own fault. His actions with with Epstein and his decision to do the interview, his foolishness in thinking that the interview had gone well and sanctioning it when in fact it had gone terribly, etc. But do you feel a little bit of pity for him? Are we in these dramas? There's your drama, there's another one being made about this as well. Do you feel that to some extent we're beginning to rub his face into this perhaps a bit too hard? I'm not suggesting that we are. I'm just asking if you think that we might be.
No, I think that's a very good question. That was one of the reasons that I was so hesitant about taking it, is I don't want to be like jumping on some bandwagon, you know, because I think it's always important to remember whatever someone is going through, that however high up or low down, you know, they are, that these are humans, and that people are a product of their circumstance. And for me, one of the concerns was wanting to do a truthful representation of him, which included him at his best as well as his worst, because people are a mixed bag, you know. So when I watched the interview, I was always very conscious of watching footage of him when he was younger, or even in more recent times when he was with people. You know, when they talk about him in this film, you know, the people in his camp say he's great with people, he's this, he's that, and you can see evidence that that's true. And I think my responsibility to the film and to any human that you're playing is to show the light and dark, and we all have both.
And talking about getting inside his head in order to play this, and you play, I mean, we've not seen the whole thing, but we've seen lots of clips. You are extraordinary in it. You are him. It's amazing. But getting inside his head to play the part, does that give you any insight into why he thought, when the cameras stopped rolling, and he actually says to Emily Maitlis, well, that went rather well, didn't it? Why did he think it was a triumph?
Well, when I say that, you know, people are a product of their surroundings and their upbringing, you know, this is someone who people have not been able to tell him the truth in the way that we might be used to from the time that he was very young. It's very easy to think that you're better at things than you are, you know, because the idea of yourself is very much bound up in how people are with you. And what he found himself in was a situation where someone was not kowtowing to him. They weren't, you know, Emily Maitlis was not being rude, but she was treating him like any other person. And what he thought was his personal magic in that moment failed him. And you can see him kind of gasping for air in some points. I don't think that part of it is his fault. That is, he is a product of his environment. And I think it is possible for guilt to be mixed with a sense of victimization. I think it's very easy for people to go through things and be guilty of something and end up feeling like a victim. And it's very easy also for people to be victims of something and end up feeling guilty. This is what humans do to themselves as a way of dealing with what they go through. And I think he's a human like anyone else. That's
a very interesting answer. Thank you for that. Fascinating interview. Thank you very much, Lee, for your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Rufus Sewell, playing Prince Andrew in the recreation of that famous Newsnight interview between Emily Maitlis and the Prince. The drama is called Scoop, and it's on Netflix on the 5th of April. Rufus Sewell, thanks very much indeed for being with us.